One of the most common questions I get in my leadership workshops are specific scenarios around dealing with difficult people. The truth is, difficult people are everywhere. The hope is that you and I are not one of those people, at least not consistently in our lives. But the ability to engage with difficult people and not let it derail your day is a huge skill. Hi, I'm Lorri, and today we're going to explore how to deal with difficult people. So you're trying to be honest and open with your feedback at work, but you've got a colleague that just won't listen to anything you have to say. Maybe you have a brother who purposefully says things that he knows are hurtful. Or you've got somebody who's just contrarian all the time. You don't even think they believe in half the things they're saying. They just want to cause conflict in the group. I'm sure you can think of many more scenarios of people who don't listen to what you need them to listen to, don't say the things you hope they would say, and don't respond or act in the way that you want them to respond or act. I'm sure you can think of people who generally do things to cause you stress and make your life difficult. So what can we do about this? Difficult people stress us out and preoccupy our mind. It can bother our sleep, and it pulls us from being our best selves. We sometimes engage in unhealthy habits to take the edge off the pain of difficult situations, so this is incredibly disruptive to our lives. But there are skills to handling these situations so we're not completely emotionally derailed or mentally distracted. First, we need to make sure it's not you that's actually the difficult one. Okay, it's kind of a joke, but not really. It is important to start with yourself, and this includes getting honest and considering your part in the situation. Where might you be contributing to the conflict? Are there any part of your actions that are adding fuel to the fire? Is there anything that you can do differently to lessen the difficulty of what you're facing? This personal check-in is exactly that. It's personal. You can do this by taking some time and writing in your journal or going on a walk and just sitting with what you are thinking, feeling, and doing. As with everything else that we do, we want to do this without any kind of self-judgment. We want to meet ourselves where we are. But the great thing about this process is that when we step into claiming our own part, then we can actually remove ourselves from being tangled with others. And after you've done that personal reflection, you might then find that you are indeed just stuck in a very difficult situation with what feels like an incredibly difficult person. Often these people feel unreasonable or illogical, and that might be so, but there are some things that will help you navigate these situations. You might have heard the saying that you cannot control what people do, but you can control how you respond and react to it. Learning how to keep our responses and reactions in alignment with our integrity is really the goal of all this. So first, recognize when you're emotionally hooked and name it. When somebody's actions are so upsetting, they trigger a series of negative emotions within us. It could be something somebody says, or maybe what they didn't say. It could be what someone does, or maybe what they don't do. Whatever the situation, you probably feel frustration, irritation, anger, all of those negative feelings just take you over. But here's the thing, these feelings are ours to deal with. Remember, no one is forcing these negative feelings to live inside you. And often we know we're pissed off, but we don't really know why. So noticing the emotion, naming it, and feeling it in our bodies is a way for us to recognize we are hooked and not let it take us over. We can look that emotion in the eye and ask ourselves, what is this feeling really about? Do I need to be feeling this? Do I want to be feeling this? Here's an example. Something happens and it feels so unfair. It happens all the time and you're so irritated, but then maybe you really take the time to connect to what you're feeling, recognizing that you're hooked, and you might notice that you're actually feeling underappreciated. Or maybe you're feeling unseen. And then you can start to do the work to unpack these deeper feelings, understand what they're about, practice a new reaction, and then change the story around the situation. A few things happen when we unpack our negative emotions. First, we acknowledge them, and as such, we give them less power over us. Acknowledging them, being aware that these feelings are present and that we can choose our response, gives us agency over the situation. It puts us in the emotional driver's seat. Secondly, we all have patterns of getting emotionally hooked. These are called our triggers. The more we recognize our emotions and begin to understand them and unpack them, the better we are able to recognize our triggers as they are happening before we get hooked in so deep. Some common triggers are when we feel underappreciated or undervalued, when we feel things are unfair or unjust, when something threatens our sense of control or threatens our sense of belonging, when we feel criticized or misunderstood. This ignites us, and not in positive ways. So the sooner we know this is coming on, the better we are at disrupting the negative emotions before they grab hold of us. So by acknowledging the negative feelings, recognizing that you have a choice over how you respond and react, you then can decide you don't have to get hooked by the situation and the emotions. But there's still that person who is so darn difficult. All right, this next skill can be a hard one. It's offering a generous interpretation and assuming positive intent. People are doing the best they can with the tools they have. Just sit with that for a moment. People are doing the best they can. Do you believe this? This is part of a mindset and perspective about the world. When you believe people are doing the best they can, it changes how you view them and the situation you're in. You offer people more grace and understanding. You're more patient. At the core of this is kindness and compassion, two things that are so helpful when we're stuck in a negative space. From here, you can reckon with those negative emotions and move through them more quickly. But here's the thing with this. If people are doing the best they can, then we're left with the disappointment of not being treated the way we would hope to be treated by the people in our lives. And that's hard. This gives us the work of dealing with our own grief around relationships that disappoint us or hurt our feelings. So try this one out. Imagine all of those difficult people in your life are doing the best they can. I bet you'd offer them a little more latitude and maybe even get a bit less hooked by their actions. Let me tell you though, believing that people are doing the best they can does not mean we need to let people treat us poorly. So with these challenging situations and dealing with difficult people, it often comes down to two things. Do you need to let go, or do you need to have better boundaries? Sometimes it's a mix of both. Okay, letting go. We get so tangled in our need for control and our need to be right. We get snagged by the desire to fix things and fix people. You cannot force someone's opinions or perspective or choices to change. And as much as you might truly believe you have all the answers and you could make it better for others and you could be helpful, other people's choices are not up to you. We get stuck wanting to change something that's not ours to change. We get stuck wishing something was different that isn't really about us. And we get attached to an idea we think we need or want. Think about the people in your life who you know's lives could be better if they just did things this way. Or think about how often you squander time wishing your colleagues were different, or your family was different, your relationship was different. And then think about all the ideas you have that you believe would make your life better. If only I had this, my life would be better. When this happens, I'm going to be so happy. We hold on to ideas that we wish were different from the past, and we're attached to hopes of a different kind of future. But this just keeps us living in either regret or anxiety. So we need to let go. Let go of things that really aren't ours to control. Let go of the need to be right when it really doesn't make any difference in our life. Sometimes we need to let go of the importance we put on other people's opinions of us, and let go of those ideas about how our life would be better if only the situation would be different. Think about a situation you're in with a difficult person right now. What do you need to let go of? What do you need to free yourself up in order to get unhooked by the negative emotions that are weighing you down? Okay, and here's the key to all of this. You have to have boundaries. As Brené Brown puts it, boundaries are defined by what's okay and what's not okay. Yes, people are doing the best they can. And no, you can't control what others do, but you do get to have personal boundaries around how you're treated by others. You do not have to subject yourself to cruelty, verbal or emotional abuse, physical harm. You get to set limits around who comes into your space and what you expect of people once they get there. And then here's the important thing about this. You're not responsible for people's feelings and beliefs or their reactions to your boundaries. So at work, this might look like you being very clear how you're talked to in a meeting. Hey, it's okay for you to disagree with me, but it's not okay for you to roll your eyes, slam your fist on my desk, and scoff at everything I say. At home, this might look like you telling your child, you have every right to be upset with me, but you cannot knock things off the table on your way upstairs and hit your brother as you storm into your room. Boundaries can be something as small as what you don't want to talk about at a particular meal, to something larger like deciding who's not invited to your holiday dinner. Boundaries are difficult because people often don't respect our boundaries, and it's hard to hold our boundaries when you know people are going to react to them. But when you've done the work of recognizing your triggers and where you get hooked, when you've adopted a perspective that believes people are doing the best they can, and when you've let go of the things that you need to let go of, it gets a little easier to create and craft healthy boundaries within your life. All of us are difficult people at some point in our lives, and all of us will have to deal with difficult people throughout our lives, but we do have the ability to develop skills around moving through those situations so they don't take hold of us and derail our whole day, mess up our whole week. It is within our own personal control to make our own choices around how we react to things and how we allow people to treat us. So try these out the next time you find yourself in one of those difficult and sticky situations. It's not going to make the situation go away, but it will help you get back to your grounded and centered self. Thank you so much for being with me today. I know your time is valuable, and I'm super appreciative that you would spend it with me. Until next time, let's work and do our best to be our best selves. I'll see you soon.